Welcome to the Witty Wallet. My name is Christopher Fu, founder of Maven Bridge Capital in sunny Orange County, California. For nearly 2 decades, I've been helping families navigate their finances in both good times and in bad, from big market dips like the 2008 Great Recession to new highs in the stock market. As a society, it feels like we're in constant search of abundance, either personally or financially, or both. And with the world rapidly changing at a much faster pace these days, it feels like we're at a tipping point. As a collective, we must make a paradigm shift in our thinking, shepherded by financial literacy if we're to continue to move towards financial and personal abundance. Are you ready to shift your thinking and change your outcome? Join me on today's Witty Wallet episode where I will explore the critical role social relationships play in our lives. How is it that our social relationships can affect everything from our happiness to our wealth? And why does practicing social fitness lead to a healthier lifestyle? Let's get into it. Question for you guys. Have you ever met someone who lived a long, healthy life and asked them, what's their secret to a long life? I've had the pleasure of asking that question to many of my clients, and I would get answers like, I eat healthy and I exercise every single day. Or I read and I do crossword puzzles. I eat whatever I want, and there's my personal favorite. I have a glass of scotch or wine every day with all my meals. Now, I think for most of us, to some degree, we have heard some of these trade secrets. And I recently came across an article that talked about how in 1938, Harvard researchers began a decade-long study to discover what makes us happy. 85 years later, this study revealed that it's not career achievement or money that makes us happy, but positive relationships that keeps us happier, healthier, and helps us live longer. So this article, it really got me thinking and made me do some deep reflection on my past and present relationships. If we really think about it, relationships have an enormous effect on us physically. Think back to the honeymoon period at the beginning of your current relationship, or maybe your previous relationship. How did you feel physically? You more likely felt alive and excited and could literally feel the feeling in your bones. You always had a big smile on your face and moved with more energy and a pep in your step. What about those sleepless nights you had during that romantically turbulent relationship? Your body was tired from the emotional roller coaster, happy, sad, angry, happy, upset. Maybe you even got a cold from the heartache. Your body had no energy or will to do anything and you'd rather just stay in bed. Or how about meeting your best friend for the very first time? That instant connection you guys made and the joy and laughter you feel every time you're around each other because you get them and they get you. These good feelings that stem from our positive relationships are like rushes of dopamine to our body and our mind. It's no wonder why many of us strive for meaningful, positive connections because we're constantly wanting that feeling in our life. It's literally in our DNA. That's why it's so important to understand and practice social fitness. Social fitness involves taking stock of our relationships and being honest with ourselves about where and whom we're devoting our time and whether we are tending to the connections that help us thrive or actually keep us back from moving forward in life. I love what I do because I have the pleasure of meeting so many new people each year and hearing fantastic life stories. Stories of an immigrant coming to America with just a few dollars in his pocket and a suitcase filled with clothes and a life he left behind, hoping to live the American dream. And that's precisely what he did. It was not easy at first, but through trials, tribulations, sacrifice, and hard work, he became an engineer, and was one of the few that had worked on a lunar module that sent the first men to the moon. He built a successful company worth millions, invested in real estate and the stock market, and built a legacy for his family that is now going to be passed on for generations to come. On the other end of the spectrum, we've heard of professional athletes who earn millions only to lose it all. I've helped many clients who have come into overnight wealth. Most of the time, the wealth came from a large inheritance, and some of them never had ever experienced that level of wealth before in their life. We all know that money can change us, and it can also change those around us. How many times have we heard stories of that long lost cousin appearing out of nowhere when someone comes into instant wealth? Or that family member or friend that comes asking to borrow money for this great business idea they have? The times when I had a client come into instant overnight wealth, I had to encourage them to learn to say no, which, by the way, is much easier said than done. This is because humans don't always act rationally and in their best interests. I know how important it is to understand my client's money psychology, which really just goes beyond understanding what stock or investment they should be investing in. This is because our evolutionary legacy has left with it a very powerful imprint on our current human experience. We are more advanced than civilizations that came before us. And despite countless technological advancements, modern humans are actually still hindered by hardwired tendencies to cling to habits of scarcity and tribe solidarity, which has been inherited from our prehistoric ancestors. Scarcity. We all remember the toilet paper mania during COVID. What was that all about? Fear of running out of toilet paper, so everyone stockpiled on it? To this day, I still think to myself, wow, I can't believe that actually really happened. But that's because, again, we are hardwired that way. We have habits of scarcity. This unconscious programming in our brains can manifest itself as irrational roadblocks, which can also slow down financial independence. It prevents us from accessing success even today. By recognizing it and having an awareness of this, can be very fundamental truth about us. We can gain insight into why so many otherwise intelligent people struggle to manage money efficiently. Now, if we peer behind the curtains even more, research has shown us that the ancient cultures of the Northwest followed this philosophy of open-handed generosity, valuing people not by their wealth, but how much they gave. In this society, it wasn't just stealing that was frowned upon, but those people who were ungenerous and denied help to others in need were also condemned. This is reflective of an ethos driven wholly around looking after one another and upholding justice across the tribe. Now, these old school pressures actually continue to live and breathe in today's communities and cultures, especially in places where the financially disadvantaged and lack of resources are prevalent. In some cultures and communities, people will often look down on members of their family if they don't share what they have with other members if the group is in need. As a result, people can often make unconscious or conscious acts that make the inheritor feel guilty because they're moving away from the tribe, sometimes making comments like, "Oh, look, Steve, he arrived to the party in a new fancy car. It must be nice." Or, "You're always too busy to hang out with us. You're always living in your nice home with your fancy neighbors." This tribe mentality can cause people to feel pressure and anxiety and could push them towards making bad financial decisions. Take, for example, a story of a man named John. John was a small town man. He worked hard his entire life to provide for himself, but never really had enough money to make anything of it. Then one day, John received some unexpected news. He was the sole beneficiary of his recently deceased uncle's estate, leaving him with more money than he knew what to do with. John was overjoyed at the sudden wealth and immediately began using it to help his friends and his family. He paid off debts for those struggling, and gave out cash gifts whenever someone asked for help. I mean, after all, he wanted everyone around him to be as happy as he was. Friends and family members flocked to John's side, hoping they could get a piece of his newfound riches. They praised him for being so generous and open handed. But soon, John's wealth began to dwindle as people took advantage of his kindness, draining nearly all of his inheritance in just a few short months. Seeing that his generosity wasn't paying off in the long run, John started to panic and hired professionals to help him manage his finances. But their warnings came too late. When it was all said and done, John had nothing left but an empty bank account and broken dreams of newfound wealth. In hindsight, John realized he should have thought about things more carefully before spending recklessly on others without proper planning or foresight. He should have surrounded himself with people who wanted what was in his best interests, rather than taking advantage of him to fill their pockets. In the end, all the money had gone without a single penny in return. The comfort of financial security is something that we all strive for, but have you ever considered the impact our families and socioeconomic cultures can have on us when striving for financial security? The fear of leaving behind decades worth or even thousands of years of societal conditioning keeps many people from breaking free of the tribe and their comfort zone. Those who choose to challenge themselves can often find a path towards success, while those unable to resist comfort and familiarity are often stuck in this endless cycle, often self-sabotaging their newfound wealth through poor financial decisions after achieving it, like so many lottery winners. Have you ever seen someone live a lavish lifestyle, even though they tell you they're facing financial hardship? Or on the flip side, have you ever observed a millionaire stuck driving an old pickup truck that won't stay put together? Now, it's easy to assume that these contrasting cases stem from a different cause of poverty or wealth, but when it comes down to it, both could signify one common denominator: stress caused by leaving their comfort zone. Whether ascending towards success or descending into hardship, this disruption can cause emotional and mental turmoil for anyone experiencing it. For those who have come from humble beginnings, like many professional athletes, there can be an absolute pressure to give away resources, even if it means losing millions. The very act of giving to others is an innate behavior built into our very nature. Our brains are amazing, and they recognize when we're engaging in altruistic acts, rewarding us with powerful euphoria that rivals the most potent pleasures: food, sex, and even drugs. One study showed donating money, clothes, or time enriches not just those receiving it, but it also stimulates activation within key reward centers of the giver's brain. In essence, charitable giving may provide more than its intended effects by generating a high for the contributors. So, after all of that, what can we do? Here's some facts to help you understand how much of an impact relationships can have and why I think they're important to all aspects of our life. Did you know that 70% of family wealth is lost after passing from the first generation to the second generation? And that 90% of that family wealth is lost from the second to third generation. How can that be? In a 20-year study conducted by the Williams Group, they interviewed families after a wealth transfer situation, and they identified underlying causes behind unsuccessful wealth transitions. An internal breakdown of trust and communication within the family caused 60% of those failures. 25% of the failures was caused by ill preparation to the heirs. 10% was due to a lack of agreed upon mission for the family. The remaining 5 due to other causes such as failure to file, signing incorrect interpretation of tax laws, etc. Now, I understand that money is a delicate subject between aging parents and their children, Yet I believe it's crucial to ensure proper financial planning. Unfortunately, statistics show this conversation often gets lost in the dynamics of family life. 60% again of failures are attributed to lack of trust or communication within the families. Did you know that as children growing up, most parents think that their children are taught about money in school? And schools think that the parents are teaching their kids about money responsibilities at home. As the children become adults, most family units don't discuss finances or plans for the family wealth, even when the children are fully grown up with children of their own. Many times, this lack of communication can create overwhelming senses of anxiety and pressure when the inheritance eventually comes. Many inheritors worry about making financial mistakes that will jeopardize everything from their parents that they worked so hard for. And this can lead to decision paralysis. This fear and inability to make a decision can lead to actually missed opportunities down the line. The takeaway: if you're a parent with a child, an adult child, start to have some conversations about family wealth. If you're not sure if you can trust your kids yet, but know it's something that should be done, get a third party involved, like a financial advisor or an attorney or a family therapist. Have these important conversations sooner rather than later, because as I always say, you never know. As the Japanese say, we all have a ikigai. We all have a purpose. Don't leave your legacy to chance and control what you can control. I'll leave you with these last few comments. For our wealth to survive and thrive, we often have to say no to helping specific individuals, as tricky as it may be. This is why taking stock of your relationships can be crucial in maintaining your long-term happiness and wealth. More importantly, it also takes an awareness of those around you and knowing who is there to support you or to support themselves. Achieving financial freedom can be a difficult task, as our human herd instincts can lead to ill-informed decisions and choices. However, by recognizing your new socioeconomic status and the role it plays in your future finances, you open yourself up to opportunities for increased freedom beyond what you thought was possible. For more tips to stimulate your brain, don't forget to check out my latest article, 3 Reasons Why Your Legacy is at Risk, Why Boomer Parents and Their Millennial Children Need to Get on the Same Page. I'll post a link to this article in the show notes. Like this episode, want to hear more? Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Till next time, thank you for spending your time with me. My name is Christopher Fu, Private Wealth Advisor on Maven Bridge Capital. It's always a pleasure, and remember, control what you can control, invest wisely, live with a purpose, and give yourself a smile in the mirror today. Thank you and take care.
Securities offered through Kestra Investment Services, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Kestra Private Wealth Services, LLC, an affiliate of Kestra is. Maven Bridge Capital and Kestra Investment Services are not affiliated. Kestra is and Kestras do not provide tax or legal advice. The opinions expressed in this commentary are those of the author and may not necessarily reflect those held by Kestra Investment Services, LLC or Kestra Advisory Services, LLC. This is for general information only and is not intended to provide specific investment advice or recommendations for any individual. It is suggested that you consult your financial professional, attorney, or tax advisor with regard to your individual situation. Comments concerning the past performance are not intended to be forward-looking and should not be viewed as an indication of future results.